participated in this event. Yes, I hope you guys
I
enjoy our
agree.
game, and we hope that you will also enjoy our webinar today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Aliana and Lois. And so I hope through that icebreaker, we are now ready and prepared for our first speaker. So let's chill now and let's get ready for our next speaker. If last week our focus was finding your passion that leads to your treasure, this week it's about writing your first book. Very interesting. I'm thrilled for this topic. Are you ready? So let me introduce our first speaker. Cindy started writing stories when she was 10 years old, when she ran out of books to read one summer. After realizing that she can make stories on her own, she never stopped writing ever since. She became the editor of Lapis sa Kalye, Hindi Ito Ang Normal Mong Nababasa, and has co-authored and published several indie books, including Pendulum, Teacher May I Go Out, and Dysmenorrhea in Filipino. She spent her childhood years in a town in Cavite, Philippines, before moving to the bustling city of Hong Kong. The contrast of these countries influenced her made-up Spring City, where 31st, back in Santa Barbara, Building 325, and Meatball Club stories revolved. She founded Eight Letters Bookstore and Publishing that caters to the self-publishing needs of aspiring writers. Let us all welcome Cindy Wong.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Just want to make sure you are hearing me well.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, let me just share my screen. How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. Give me a thumbs up.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So, well, to be honest, this is going to be the first time I'm going to talk about writing your first book, because I've always talked about self-publishing, indie publishing, or how to write. But for some reasons, Ate Sheila asked me how I wrote my first book. Thank you for that curiosity. But to be honest, um, you know, when you think about writing your first book, you think about how scary it can be, how it's going to be like a big step, right? So today we're going to talk about, what are the steps um, I took, and like I'm not saying that I'm already at the top of, writing books and all of that, but I'm still continuously learning. So just bear with me. This is going to be our agenda for today. Okay, here's our agenda. If you want to become a writer, or if you want to write your book, we'll talk about what to expect, what to prepare, what to do, and eventually creating our own economy. Okay, because writers nowadays, we continue to evolve. We don't just sit down on our typewriter. We don't just write. Our capacity is more than that. you know Writers nowadays, we get to be speakers, we got to teach people, and we think we become entrepreneurs because we have to sell ourselves. Okay, so just a little bit of introduction. Okay, that's my photo years ago in the Manila International Book Fair, selling books. Now, I think this year they're going to do it online. There's no big bazaars, but this Manila International Book Fair is one of actually the biggest book fairs in the Philippines. So it runs for 5 days, and you can imagine ours is just an indie booth, an indie or an individual booth, and that already cost 20,000 pesos. There are also other booths like the National Bookstore, or book sales. These big bookstores and these big publishers, you can imagine how big they are, how much books they are selling, right? But we just try to, as an indie writer or as an indie publisher, we try to put ourselves, or we try to put our works out to the world, um, doing it this way. So we'll go through that. But anyway, as mentioned earlier, I've become the editor of Lapis Acalya. That's the first writing community I've joined in. And also until later on, I founded Eight Letters Bookstore and Publishing. It's been running now for 3 years, 3 or 5 years, 3 to 5 years, something like that. And I've written quite a few books. 31st, back in Santa Barbara. These are fantasy and romance. The Meatball Club, I wrote mystery books. And of course, personal memoirs, such as Embracing Uncertainties. So I'm not just a writer. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a freelance writer, magazine editor. I also teach students like you guys. So, if you think about being a writer, you'll have to think about being versatile. Kasi competition is very tough nowadays. So, you're not the first one to write mystery, or you're not the first one to write about, for example, mythological creatures in the Philippines. You're not the first one who talks about love triangle romance story, right? So you need to find your edge. So you need to find your edge. What will make people buy your book? What makes you an interesting person? Let's start with you as an individual, right? So we have to continue to evolve, because of course years and years ago, when you say you want to be a writer, you think about just sitting down and typing all the words, right? But actually nowadays, with all of these online platforms coming up like Wattpad, Dream, um, or Amazon, finishing your manuscript is just 50% of the workload. There's another more 50% that you have to work into. All right. So these are some of the photos. We have launched some literary festivals, online and offline. We've launched books, and these are our little writing community in the Philippines. Okay. Okay, I want to ask the audience, why do you want to write a book? Maybe one of you can unmute yourselves and let me know why.
Who wants
Maybe,
to volunteer? It's okay if it is Tagalog.
why do you think you would want to be a writer? Why do you think you want to write a book?
To inspire other people.
Okay, yeah, so that's number one. That's actually a very, very good point. You want to inspire people. And uh, that's where you can start. That's a good starting point. Uh-huh. Because it definitely takes a lot of work. Okay, anything else? Anyone else? One last answer. Okay, maybe can I ask Ati Sheila, why did you want to write a book?
It's the same with Chazel. I want to inspire others because I was also inspired by reading books, and I want to do the same to inspire others.
All right. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. You want to inspire others. Okay, let me tell you this. Um, there are some dangers in becoming a writer. Some writer, they want to do it because they want to be popular, they want to be famous. But some writers, they want to do it because they want to earn money, or sometimes you have to go deeper than that, because otherwise your ego, or the money, it can destroy you as a person. So you'll have to think about first, why do you want to write a book? It has to be deeper than that, because money Will it come easily? Not really. It has a lot of work. Okay, let me show you this photo as well. Expectation versus reality. So you're expecting, okay, you write your first book, you publish it, and then do you think you're going to be the next J.K. Rowling? Every writer wants to be the next J.K. Rowling, where you earn, billions of dollars, where your stories get to be told in the biggest, in big screens. That's the expectation, right? But the reality, oh my God, you write the first chapter, the whole manuscript. That's kind of like my experience. I mean, try to write it down, and I'm not sure, or of course we all respond differently. Maybe you're a very optimistic person, but if you're going through the process of writing, there is this step where you hate what you write, what you wrote. You would hate what you wrote. You would hate everything about the story that you're writing, and you will begin to ask yourself, why are you doing this in the first place? So that's why the purpose, you have to go back to this question: why do you want to write a book? Okay, it's going to be a very strenuous task, a very strenuous inspired yourself as a writer, then you will not be able to even finish writing the first chapter of your book. So you have to have the right expectations. I received this question about how do you manage your time? How do you juggle your time if you're working in your full-time job, or if you're a student and at the same time you want to write? Then the question is, how will you do it? Well, there's time management and prioritizing, and basically don't think about anything else. Just sit down. Okay, I don't want to say any curse words. Just sit down and write, write, write. Okay, do what you need to do. Get your caffeine, get your boost. But if you don't sit down writing, if you don't sit down and start writing, then it's not going to happen. You can say as much excuse as you want. You can say, oh, I'm very busy. Well, if you're busy and if you cannot make time, then I'm sorry, you're not able to produce this book at all. Okay. Have you heard about the Pomodoro technique? Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe one of you can say what Pomodoro technique is about, if you've heard about it. Um, okay. Okay. Yep. Okay, let me explain what a Pomodoro technique is. It is continuously writing for an hour and then taking a break after that. And then there has to be no, like without distractions at all. You just write for the next hour, okay, without any distractions. And then you take a break. So it's kind of like a challenge where, how many words can you write in 1 hour? Perhaps you can write 500 words in 1 hour without any distractions. Right? 500 words, easy, right? For the whole day, say for example, for 3 hours. Wow, for a day you already got 1,000 words. Not bad. And then you continuously do it. Down and write. Okay. So that's Pomodoro technique. Okay, just remember to take a break, and it's more of like a system where you continuously do a task. And actually, guys, that's how you finish a task. Just doing it without any distractions. Okay, so there you go. And so once you're done with your manuscript, the next thing is the editing. So these are the different editing for your manuscript. So there's a better reader or getting a better reader or a developmental editing, because the first manuscript, definitely that's trash, that's garbage. So you have to share your manuscript, the first manuscript, maybe to your friends, to your close friends, who can read it for you, who can give you honest feedback about it. Make sure that your readers or your friends, they are readers themselves who read the same genre, and then they can give you honest opinion about your book, about your manuscript. So that's the first part, getting a better reader and having it go through this developmental editing. And then next thing is the line editing. This is where you correct statements, or where you correct, this is not the part where you correct grammar, okay? This is the part where you check if the statement of your characters um, matches their character. Okay, for example, if a gay character talks about or say something like, what he would not usually say, if a gay character sounds like a straight character, then there must be something wrong about it. Okay, that is line editing. Okay, you don't say, so for example, okay, let me think of an example. What are you doing? She said. How would you edit that? What are you doing? She said. So you would edit that like this. I wouldn't say she said, because what are you doing is not a statement, it's a question. Okay. But I wouldn't be satisfied with what are you doing, she asked. I would not be satisfied about that. If I'm your editor, I will throw it away. So I would edit it like this. What are you doing? I wouldn't say she asked, okay, because what are you doing is already a question. So maybe put in an action or add in a sentence with an action. So it will be like this. What are you doing? She looked up from the book she was reading. So for example, right? What are you doing? Then she looked up from the book she was reading. So hindi siya, so it's not going to be a flat statement. What are you doing? She asked. It's going to be, what are you doing? She looked from the book she was reading. Right? Okay, so that's line editing. Yeah. Okay, and copy editing is all about the grammar, all about the quotation, putting in the right quotation, putting in the right grammar, putting in the right pronoun, things like that. Because, well, writers tend to interchange he and she usually. And then there's proofreading, like making sure that the final manuscript works. All right. Okay, so that's editing. And of course, when you receive feedback, you have to decide if that feedback is constructive or destructive. Because, okay, if you see your manuscript back from the editor and you see a lot of red marks, you might feel bad, right? Like, oh, maybe I'm not born to do this. I wasn't born to do this. Maybe I shouldn't be a writer. No, all writers have to go through editing, and you have to learn how to embrace all of these red marks. But first of all, you have to decide whether that feedback is constructive or destructive. Okay, you're still the writer. You're still, like, it's still up to you whether you would follow that advice or not. And of course, eventually you have to make plans to act on the constructive criticisms. Okay, maybe there is a point. Okay, maybe the editor is correct. Usually they are really correct. So You just have to think it through, and then of course, uh, make the necessary changes to your manuscript. All right. So make your editor your best friend. Okay. Okay. And then next is what to prepare. You have to think about the concept, conceptualizing your book, marketing your book, because okay, fine, you've written this book, but what's next? You have to market it, you have to sell it, and then you have to think about, for you to sell it, you have to think about the channels that you will use. Maybe you will use online platforms, or the traditional publishing. Or if you're going through, or if you decide to go for self-publishing, then you think about how to fund your book. But if you want to go for the traditional publishing, then you have to know how to pitch your book. Okay, we'll talk about that one by one. Okay, so here, this is where we conceptualize the book. Okay, so you think about the genre. Is it fantasy? Is it paranormal? Is it romance? Okay, am I going to write this by myself? Can I write this by myself, or can I collaborate with other writers to do this? Okay, how's going to be the book cover? Okay, just to share with you guys, this New Beginnings is an anthology by 8 Letters 2 years ago. Okay, so when we ask for submissions, it's actually a competition online, and then we pick the best ones, and it's a new adult, or sorry, young adult book. Young adult book means it's for 12 years old to 16 years old teenagers. Okay, so the genre has a variety of romance and uh, mystery, fantasy, but they all target those 12 to 16 years old. Okay, and then when we conceptualize the book cover, we thought about this. What do you think about the book cover? Do you think it stands out, or what? Does it suck? Okay, yeah, I hope it resonates. If you're 12 to 16 years old, I hope it resonates. But so far, the feedback has been good. Okay, and then looking at this Encuentro book, okay, this we target readers who are older, maybe I would say 18 and above, because there's some scenes that's not for children. Okay, so that's the genre. That's when we were conceptualizing. Okay, so when you think about your book, think about who are the readers of your book. Think about the genre. Okay, you cannot write a young adult book and then um, write something about um, like very mature romance, you know because being a writer, you have this responsibility as well. Just because you can write words doesn't mean that you have to experiment. Books that are for kids are just for kids. Books that are for teenagers are for teenagers. Okay, you have this responsibility. So just as you consume alcohol, drink moderately, write moderately. Okay, and then think about the synopsis, and then how, and the format, like how it will look inside. Of course, if your target readers are the older generation, like the 50 years old, the grandparents, you wouldn't design your font to be like very small fonts. Okay, they have to be readable. Okay, so marketing. So think about who will read your book, and why should they read your book, and what can they get after reading your book. So okay, now that you have conceptualized the book itself, and you've already imagined what kind of readers they are, think about why this specific audience would read your book. So when I which is actually a collection of travel essays, my target audience were people who miss traveling. They have to have the spirit of travel, I would say. Okay, they have to have the spirit of exploration. You know, you don't just go to the necessary to the usual, okay, what's their age, you know, how much money they're making. You have to go deeper than that, to get to know your audience. Maybe you can start with, you know, imagining them, imagining your target reader. So when I was writing Embracing Uncertainties, I was imagining a person, or maybe a woman who is in her 30s, 30 to 45 years old, and maybe she's trying to find her purpose. She wants to find, you know, she wants to explore the world. She wants to find herself. She wants to do many things. That is the kind of reader that I was aiming for when I was writing this book, Embracing Uncertainties. So I think in this, okay, this is the first rule of marketing, right? Don't talk about, okay, people buy your book not because of, you know, what it looks like, not because of what it looks like. They buy your product because why you do it in the first place, right? What are you giving them? You think it's all about the physical? Actually, it's all about, you know, what will satisfy them. What are you satisfying in them? Okay, so that's like one of the rules in marketing. So that's the same thing when you write a book or when you try to sell your book. Okay, I hope I'm making sense. Uh, okay, so channels. Okay, think about your ideal reader. Where do they hang out usually? How can you find them? How can you reach them? Because, okay, for example, a you are selling a let's see, what kind of product? You're selling a coffee, a cup of coffee. And then where would you put this shop, this coffee shop? If you're selling coffee, where would you put your coffee shop?
Near a school or university or office building.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good answer. So it's the same thing when you sell your books. Where do your readers hang out, right? So maybe in the mall. Yes, they hang out in the mall, but it's so expensive. Maybe in Amazon Kindle, like in Amazon, because there are like millions of readers looking for books in Amazon. So they are there. Maybe in the writing communities. Okay, maybe you can also sell it using your Facebook page or your Instagram page or social media, but you can target this using the paid ads, right? So that's how you reach them, but that's another lesson we can talk about later. And of course, bazaars. You know, Christmas is coming. So people would think about what to give as gifts. Well, definitely traditional publishing, it has to be the bookstores, right? It's given. So you have to think about the channels. Of course, if you write a young adult book, maybe you can, what social media do these young adults use nowadays? TikTok. So you have to level up your marketing. Maybe you can talk about your books, your characters in TikTok, or what is that? Snapchat. Sorry, I'm a tita already, so I don't use this social media. I just use Facebook and Instagram, but I know I have to level up too. But yeah, there you go. And of course, if you're going for indie publishing, you have to know where you're getting the fund. If you have a fan base, you can ask your readers to pre-order the book. But no fans, no problem. Start building it right now. Okay, you can build your readership online when you post about your writing, when you collaborate with other writers or other readers in in writing communities that are online as well. Start with your community, reach out. Okay, while I was starting, actually, I didn't have any. I couldn't tap with those people that are in my community. Unfortunately, they're not writers, they're not readers. In my family, only my brother reads. So it was very difficult for me. But when there was this boom of social media, like, wow, I could find people who have the same likes with me, who are fond of reading and writing books. Okay, so all I've got to do is just reach out and talk with them, talk with the community, collaborate with them, check with them. When you talk to your community, you don't think about, you don't just advertise yourself like, hey, I'm writing this book. Maybe you want to read it. Yeah, that might work, but a very small percentage of the time. But I would recommend this way. Like, oh, okay. Oh, by the way, I'm writing a book. I saw that you posted your book too. I'm interested. Maybe we can swap, right? So that's 100% readability already. 100%, 100% he or she will be your customer in the future, because you are also helping him or her with his or her work. Okay, so it means collaboration. It means collaboration. So that's it. Okay, you don't just think about yourself when you collaborate with online communities. You don't think about just selling your book. You think about how you can help other people too. Okay, and then now there's this pitching your book. If you're not going for the indie pub, you can think about the traditional publishing. Submit to Penguin, submit to the biggest publishing out there. But you've got to make sure that your first page is a killer. Because otherwise, you can imagine how many manuscripts they're reading in a day. Maybe 50, maybe 100. If your first sentence sucks, then I'm sorry. It's not going to make it. Okay, also, know the agent you are submitting to, and research. Okay, research what kind of genre that agent would go for. So see here, you can read. I thought you might like my work because I see that you represent this author. Do a little bit of research, and then have a really good sense of where your book will sit on the shelves. Like I mentioned earlier, you need to know who are your readers are, what is the genre you're writing. Is it literary, reading group, commercial, young adult? To be honest, the reason why I went for indie publishing in the Philippines is because there's very, very limited when it comes to publishing or going for the traditional publishing in the Philippines. Maybe you've heard of Summit Books, right? These books. If you want to write a romance story, then they only accept this formula of romance. You cannot go beyond that because they know that this kind of formula sells. So that's why they would be willing to invest in your book. But if you're going to say something like, no, 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 I want to explore beyond that. Like, I've read that. I've been there, done that. I've read that kind of book and it doesn't work for me. Well, it works for them and the majority of their customers. So if you're not willing to tweak your book into their desired formula, then better go for indie publishing. Okay. Otherwise, go for traditional. But that's easy because going for traditional publishing, it means you just have to write and they will market your book. They will market the book themselves. You don't have to do anything. So pros and cons. When you go for traditional publishing, you might have to wait for forever. Or if you want to go for traditional publishing, you will only earn maybe 5% of the profit or of the selling price. But if you're going for the indie publishing, you'll earn 100% of the profit, and also at the same time the consequence is that you have to do all the work by yourself unless you have a team with you. So you have to be ready for that. Okay, so we've done what to expect, what to prepare, and now what to do. Start writing the book, and the next one, and the one after that. Because if you will look at, for example, Amazon, in Amazon, those writers, they would write a series, and they probably have written 20 books to 50 books, or maybe more than that. And then all you have to do, all you need is one reader to stumble in your work. And then if that reader loves your work, that reader will probably buy your whole collection. So don't stop in one book. You have to continue writing, okay? Have to continue. Keep going. That's true. So I think I've written, what, 10 books? I need to write more. Okay. Yeah, I think the formula that was told to me was I have to write at least 14 books in a series. In a series. And then, wow, then what? I've started, I have to write 10 books, maybe 10 more books to be discovered. So, keep this in mind. And last but not the least, do we still have time? I hope. Yeah. Okay. So last but not the least is you have to create your economy. There are no life hacks. Life hacks, it's not true. There's no magic. There's no overnight success. You just have to start working. You know, you might have to compromise your weekends. Like for today, oh my God, I'm working. I'm going to work. I was working before this. I still have to do another work after this. But you have to start working. But aside from working hard, you also have to be working smart. Okay? And the rest will follow. I'm not saying all these to you guys to okay. Yeah. I'm not telling this to you guys to discourage you from writing your first book, because I'm telling you it's worth it. It you might not see the result right now, but in the long run, if you continue doing what you do, it will all be worth it. All the big things, like people would just see the iceberg. People would just see the tip of the iceberg, but they won't see all the hard works that you put into your work. So think about that. They will think, oh, he or she is already successful. Oh, she's got readers already, but they don't see the sleepless nights. They don't see the frustrations. They just think, oh, it's so easy. Okay, so people will ask you, is there any how to guide? Of course, there's a how-to guide, but you have to go through that process. And then don't think about life hacks like, that's the dumbest thing ever. Because even when you start a business, you think, you just have to find the right technique. No, it's not that. Yes, you have to find the right technique, but you have to put in your hours. You have to work. Okay, and then of course create your economy. I just recently stumbled with this phrase, and I want to share this with you. Create your economy. People would think, oh, I want to earn from my active income from my job. But you can actually earn, as a writer, you can also earn being a teacher, selling your books, or being a freelance writer, like editing someone else's work. Or you can also, writers are kind of in demand right now, especially when a lot of businesses around the globe, they would want to put their business into like online. They need some copywriters. So we're very in demand right now. So you have to create your economy. You don't just think about, okay, I will only get money by selling this book. You can get money by doing some other stuff. Okay, like building your portfolio, your writing portfolio. So a lot of companies would hire you for after seeing your comprehensive and impressive portfolio. Okay. And okay. Yeah, so going back to the first question, do you really want to be a writer? I'm telling you it's worth it because you get to inspire people, and at the same time it's, there would be a kind of transformation that would begin in yourself. So there's the, when inspiring other people, transformation for yourself, and when you help your community, that's when things would happen. Writers would, they would say, a writer's job is not that important, especially in this recession nowadays. The last thing that you would think of buying is a book, right? That's the last thing you would think of buying. Like, what? I only have 100 pesos. Why should I spend money in your book? But as writers, we are the visionaries of this world. We can change the world, through our words. We can inspire people. We can influence people into doing something that is good. We can influence people to become better citizens, to build better communities. So yes, that's all from me, I guess. I hope you got inspired. OMG. Yes, thank you. That's all. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know.
Yeah.
Unmute and then clap for Coach Cindy. Unmute.
Thank you. After nito, gusto niyo pa ba maging writer? You still want to be a writer?
Yes. Q&A. Jay, can you please facilitate Jay? AJ?
Okay. So, thank you. We want to thank you so much, Cindy, for sharing your knowledge. It was really inspiring to hear how you write your books and how the process works. So, everyone, if you have any questions, just please unmute yourself and go ask Cindy. This is your time to ask. So you can ask in English or Tagalog, whichever language you prefer. Just go shoot and shout your question.
I have a question.
Okay, Elisa.
There's another question in the chat box, but I'll shoot mine first. My question is that I have been encountering writing anxiety, so I'm not comfortable in writing because I simply just, when you have a concept or idea that you want to put on paper, sometimes in your mind goes very fast and it's hard to coherently put them all on paper the way you think about it. So how would you what is your suggestion or advice for someone who is having writing anxiety because they feel like no matter what concept or how good the idea they have in mind, it's just very hard to write it down on paper and start writing?
Okay, so yeah, thanks, Alisa. So what we suggest to writers is this. If you're being overwhelmed with your ideas, if you're getting anxieties because, it's your writing ability cannot compete with what's in your head, you can start outlining. Okay, write the idea first and then break it down into tiny have you seen a mind map before?
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay, just put it in one circle. Put the big topic in one circle, and then draw, these stems that would support the idea, the outline. If it's going to be a story, then of course you'll write, okay, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or if you cannot really go through that yet, that chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just go for the beginning, middle, and end. So in the middle, of course, put the idea. In the beginning, put in the, you know, because readers, they have to be surprised as well. So make sure that you're building in the beginning, building the concept in the beginning, and then the big surprise in the middle. And then in the end, like, oh, wow, okay, the surprise, like something unexpected. And that's usually the formula for writing a good story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Elisa. Okay, I think there's another question from Russell. Do you use your mobile phone in writing? If yes, what app? I use Evernote. It's an unpaid app. It's a free app, actually. Have you guys heard about Evernote? Yeah, I love Evernote. There's notebooks. There are notebooks. There are or you can actually record your voice if you think there's too much writing to be done, and if at the end of like in the evening, if you're going to go to sleep and like you have this idea and you're just afraid that in the morning you lose this idea, record your voice in Evernote and then put it, okay, chapter 1 or chapter whatever, and then say something like, okay, the character will kill this character tomorrow. So something like that. Evernote, I recommend that. I've been using it for more than 5 years now. Okay. Any other question, guys? Thanks, Russell. Oh, okay. I'm currently stuck in writing the climax of my novel, so I need inspiration. What, in your opinion, makes a good climax in a story? Okay, what are you writing, Teresa? What genre are you writing? Because as I've mentioned earlier to Elisa, it has mystery. Wow. Wow. I love mystery. Okay. So whenever I write mystery books, you have to put yourself in you know, in the position of the readers. I want to be surprised if I'm the reader, right? So of course there has to be good climax. So for a mystery novel, I want to keep guessing who's the killer, who did this, who did that. So I would try to build the concept like from beginning and middle, and even up to the end. I don't want the reader to guess. I don't want to give it away, give the clue away. Even if there's some hidden messages here and there, I wouldn't give it until the last chapter or last 3 chapters. Because of course the last 2 chapters would be like, okay, the story has to go down a little bit. Okay, make it rest. But the last 3, 4, 5 chapters, you have to build the momentum. It has to be at the very, very peak. And it has to be something unexpected. Like, wow, I didn't see that coming. You should be able to write a story that would make your reader like, oh my God, I love this writer. I didn't expect that. Like, oh my God, like, just put yourself in that reader's position. Don't give it away. Okay, thanks, Teresa. Hope that helps. Anyone else? Yeah.
You guys have any questions for Cindy? Anyone else who wants to say something?
Okay, so before I end this Q&A, by the way, I would like to offer my Indie Publishing the Right Way workbook for free. So for all of the participants here, I'll give you a workbook for self-publishing, Indie Publishing the Right Way workbook. Yeah, okay, there's a question from Emmanuel. Have you experienced writer's block? Oh yes, definitely. How do I deal with it? Oh, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to have writer's block. And I've been experiencing this for I don't know how many days because I really wanted to continue the book 2 of the Meatball Club. So I wouldn't say that I didn't stop writing. I just took a rest from that story and started another story. And if not, okay, if it's really writer's block, right, I would go and experience something new myself. I know in this pandemic, it's so hard to go out, right? It's so hard to go out and experience something yourself. But if you're 18 years old and above, I think you have the ability to walk around the neighborhood. Just make sure you have just be safe. Go for road trip. That's why I always try to go out. I try to design my life where I don't feel bored, because when I feel bored, then I would feel motivated, unmotivated, and then I would feel, then it would reflect in all of the things that I would do. So that's why it's important to treat yourself well. Take a break. Okay, go for a spa, or have a nice hot bath, or ano ba? Think about what would make your brain tick. What would make me happy today? Because if you're happy, then you would feel motivated, and the rest would follow. So think about what would make you happy today. Okay, don't write anything first. Just focus on yourself, because your brain is the most important. This is your most important asset, and this is the reason why you're having writer's block. You know, so that's why yesterday I went to a cafe. Okay, it's like one of my favorite cafes, and I ordered ice cream, and then I would observe people. How do these people talk, or how do these people interact with each other? And of course, if you're a writer, something would boil in your brain. Or okay, another option is read or read, of course, read books, because if you cannot write, if you cannot read, if you don't read books, or watch a foreign film that is, outside the usual genre that you would watch. If you want to watch something like, if you want to write a mystery book, then you have to watch mystery TV series. So you have to feed your brain too. Feed your brain, and then that's the only way for you to give something, to write down something. No problem, Emmanuel. Oh, oh my gosh. Anything else?
I think we can entertain one more question. So do you guys have one more question for Cindy? Okay, I think there's none. So thank you so much, Cindy. So your speech really reminded me how hard work is really put into books, and words just don't come to you overnight. And the reason for writing shouldn't be at the surface level only, should really have a bigger goal in mind. So thank you for reminding us that. And personally, for me as a broadcasting student, i'm I'm required to write scripts, storylines. So reading and watching your presentation, it inspired me to do better in my work. So thank you so much. So at this point, I will turn this segment over to Alyssa.
Hello, everyone. I hope we enjoyed Miss Cindy's presentation, and I enjoyed it a lot. One of the most significant takeaway that I will be thinking about in my week, even, is that we have to be more considerate about the fact that we can change the world through our words, which is something that was shared to us by Miss Cindy. Change the world through your words. That's very, very beautiful, Miss Cindy. And as a token or a symbol of appreciation, I wish to present to you this humble certificate from Treasures Finder for being one of the speakers in Ponte Queen webinar series entitled Writing Your First Book, held today, September 2020. Thank you so much, Miss Cindy. We hope to have you again as a speaker, maybe for other writing tips or any other side hustles that you have, because I have been also very interested about freelancing and making money on the side, because we need that. We all need that. Thank you so much, Miss Cindy. And moving on, I'm giving back the stage or the Zoom stage to our MC, Miss Angeli.
Thank you, Alyssa. So again, Miss Cindy, thank you so much. I hope everyone was inspired to write your own stories, because I believe that all stories deserve to be heard. So before we proceed to the next part of our program, we're going to have a photo session and a break. So may I request everyone to turn on their cameras so we can see your faces, and get ready for the photo session. Okay, who is going to take the photo?
I'll take the photo.
Okay.
Okay, Kyle, Russell, Teresa, and Windy, your camera, please. Okay, I'll take it for now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. Waki. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, just Jay, just 3 minutes break, Jay.
Okay. So everyone, please be back by 3:13 and we'll proceed to the next program. See you later.